ladies and gentlemen. This is Ukrainian show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and today we have special guests, Ivan Kucherenko from Kiev, Ukraine. Welcome to the show, Ivan.
Hello, Sasha. Hello to everyone. I'm glad to be here today.
Yeah, likewise. And you have a video. Let's start with that and see.
Yeah, sure. I've got a video from Dobropilya. It's a very hot destination on the eastern front and the eastern part of Ukraine. So we can start with it right now.
Heard of the frog leap tactic? No? Well, this isn't it. But in this video, you'll witness a Russian airborne unit making their own version of a frog leap, charging through smoke, explosions, and buzzing drones. The result? In just 3 hours, 41 motorcycles and 35 armored vehicles were destroyed. Think we miscounted? See for yourself. It all starts with a seemingly successful Russian breakthrough near Dobropilya. At first, everything looks fine. But as you'll see, Ukrainian forces first halt the push, then isolate this armored claw. Still, they don't fully manage to wipe out the Russians stuck inside Ukrainian positions. For 2 months, the front line remains frozen. But the gains from that early breakthrough gradually evaporate. Those trying to break out are met by snipers. And those hiding quietly in local homes, they're tracked down and eliminated by drones. Ukrainian special forces deploy to the area and start clearing it out. So the encircled Russian troops begin to run out of strength, not just from casualties. Food can still be scavenged from abandoned homes and root cellars, but drinking water? That has to come straight from nature. In just a few more weeks, the Russian foothold behind Ukrainian lines might disappear altogether. That's why Russian command decides to punch a corridor through to their stranded units. And this frog leap, it's to be carried out by Russia's best of the best, airborne troops. First, they stockpile vehicles in hangars near the front line. But the infamous grill cages, you know, the ones slapped on tanks, get a makeover. And this upgrade supposedly transforms combat effectiveness. Take a look at this particular barbecue rig. Yes, unlike earlier models that could only shoot forward due to fixed armor plating, this tank can rotate its turret. In World of Tanks, it would be a true collectible. The BMD-2 airborne vehicles also get upgrades, mainly with powerful electronic warfare systems. And those rubber side skirts? They're homemade, crafted from conveyor belts used in coal mines. These belts are made from fireproof, self-extinguishing rubber, meaning FPV drone-shaped charges can't melt through the armor. Even the soft-skinned vehicles get the same protection. Don't recognize these Russian off-roaders? Here's what they look like in civilian life. What do you think's inside? Yeah, we were shocked too. But don't worry, this video won't show any harm to animals. YouTube wouldn't allow it. So, this whole makeshift armor setup is supposed to shield the convoy from Ukrainian drones. Still, it seems the Russians don't fully trust their grills. So, they come up with a truly devilish plan. They send in waves of motorcyclists first, hoping Ukrainian drone operators will waste their payloads on the bikes, and not the armored vehicles. Some Russian war bloggers are already calling this frog leap a war crime. Others claim it was a success. We won't judge, but after watching this, you'll decide for yourself, victory or disaster.
Very impressive. It's just show recklessness of Russians who wouldn't stop at anything, and not even to satisfy themselves or get some kind of gains, just to make life for Ukrainians miserable. That's all what they're trying to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is just one of the very few moments of this war, and we've seen for this almost more than 3 years, actually, starting from the Russian full-scale invasion, how Russian army actually degraded. Unfortunately, there is no Jonathan Lockwood today with us to discuss this, but we've seen the Russian army in the beginning of their full-scale invasion. Like there were a lot of professional soldiers who were very well trained. They participated in different missions around the globe. They had successful invasion in Georgia in 2008. They had successful operations in Syria, and they've invaded in Ukraine in a shiny tanks, in the shiny APCs with a lot of weapons. And now you've seen this video, and you've seen what Russian army transformed into. I now want to find another video about it. It actually was a video released today. Now I want to show this video.
Great.
You, and it shows how Russian army is trying to attack Pokrovsk, and these yeah, I now got it, and I hope that Mark will launch this video. It's really short, but it illustrates the state of current Russian army. So let's watch this very short video right now. It's no more tanks, no more armored vehicles. Of course, they still using it, and sometimes there are attacks with those grilled tanks and grilled APCs. But mostly now it's an horde. Actually, it's an horde of barbarian savages, and they're riding bikes. It's when you see these videos, it's not like the video from the modern war. It's like from some sci-fi movie like Mad Max, and you just can't imagine. You don't need Hollywood to shoot these movies. All this is happening right now in Europe, when army of savages, of barbarians, actually attacking European country, trying to grab as much territories as possible until they will be stopped. And this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, knowing the state of the Russian economy and shortages of gasoline, and it's becoming much more and more painful for Russians. I'm pretty sure that very soon this motorcycles will be replaced by bicycles, and probably
they're already using it. They're using bicycles. They're using electric bikes, which they're getting from China. And actually, these electric bikes are extremely dangerous because they are quite silent. And it's harder for Ukrainian troops to detect those Russians moving. But in their logistics, as you've seen, they're using bicycles, they're using donkeys, they're using horses. At the time when Ukraine is using surface drones for logistics purposes, not only the aerial drones, not only the sea drones, but also the unmanned drones going by the terrain. Actually, Russia is using donkeys.
Well, speaking about the Ukrainian coalition, unfortunately, with this government shutdown in United States, the orders for about $5 billion were not actually fulfilled and sent to Ukraine. However, it was It was
Uh,
somewhat
uh,
compensated by European Union, though.
no. I've read this news today. There was update that those shutdown it didn't harm the Purell program, which supports Ukraine with weapons when NATO, European countries being in NATO purchase weapons in the United States for Ukraine. So the shutdown didn't inflict those shipments of weapons by that problem. Probably it was in some part affected some long-term contracts of European countries, but not shipments to Ukraine, hopefully. But I've heard that the shutdown issue was already passed in the Senate, and like the crisis is over, hopefully, and it will allow United States to act more aggressively, I hope, in the issue of putting Russian invasion to Ukraine to the end, hopefully.
Ivan, because of time difference between Ukraine and Canada, it seems to me that your information is being more updated than mine.
maybe it's it's already it's morning in Canada right now, and in Ukraine it's already late evening, so with a lot of and these updates were from Europeans actually, who actually buy weapons for Ukraine. Hopefully we're in the same time zone with Europe mostly, so they've already made an update that it was not an issue for that support, and it's really important for Ukraine because we've seen last year when before the presidential election campaign that the delays in shipment of weapons to Ukraine can really help assist Russia to advance more aggressively on the battlefield, because when last year Ukrainian forces encountered a delay in weapon supplies from the United States because of some political processes, actually, it gave Russia a great opportunity to advance on the battlefield, because Ukrainian forces lacked ammos for the howitzers, actually lacked missiles for HIMARS systems, and it was a really great problem to from holding the Russian advancing on the battlefield.
As there is a lot of talk about the Russian government, they are really, really spooked by how they themselves call it 6-minute doctrine. So that means that super fast new weapons, like highly effective and super fast missiles will be available in Germany very shortly. They are now in States, and they will be delivered in Germany. So the only hope was that there were no the so-called the Platzdarm from which this missiles could be actually launched. So the launchers themselves, they were, for example, they were under impression that it will take a couple of years to build those launchers, and without these launchers, these missiles are not that dangerous because they cannot be even flying. Now, what's happened, though, that there were exercises in Japan, between Japan and the United States, and the launchers for Tomahawk missiles were already used. They exist, and the same launchers are just as good for this super fast missiles. So now they realize that it will take only 6 minutes from them to fly to Moscow or St. Petersburg, and from Japan, the same missiles can fly to almost any place like Khabarovsk, Novosibirsk, and many other centers in Siberian part of Russia. So now they had, I think it was even this Belousov himself. He said there was a big conference of all top people, including Putin, and he publicly, for the first time, he said that, okay, now it's a 6-minute time. It's not half an hour. It's not 25 minutes. It's not 15 minutes. It's 6 minutes. In 6 minutes, you cannot even make a phone call to say, what's happened? There are missiles. Are they your missile or somebody else's missile? That's it. 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3, and it's done. And they now are very, very disturbed by this new situation. So they brought back Lavrov. And Lavrov now make an announcement that he is ready to meet with Rubio to discuss this and other developments. But there was no reply from Rubio of any kind. So I don't know who Lavrov is planning to talk to. Maybe Belarus.
Sometimes, 6 minutes flying time from to Moscow is really great, but the current situation shows that even slow flying drones, which are flying with the speed like 200 kilometers per hour, and which can take several hours of flying on a long distances, they can successfully hit Russian military and oil industry objects. Today, Ukraine committed a successful attack on oil refinery in Orsk in Russia, and it's very funny because Ukrainians call Russian orcs. Like from Tolkien, and Russia has a city named Orsk, which means capital of orcs. So Ukrainians are joking a lot about this city. So it's like 1,300 kilometers from Ukraine, and today several Ukrainian drones successfully flew over the entire territory of Russia, because these 1,300 kilometers are mostly the territory of Russia. So those drones flew over all territory of Russia slowly, and then destroyed some objects on that oil refinery, making Russian oil production industry decreasing even more. So 6 minutes is great, but Russia is so big, and Russia actually has so weak air defense systems which they cannot cover all Russian territory. They're moving those air defense systems from to more strategic objects like Putin residence, like the houses of Russian elite and governors on Rublyovka in Moscow, and other very strategic objectives in Russia, and they put most air defense there to cover those objects. They don't have enough air defense systems to cover their oil industry. So if such missiles will appear in Germany or in Ukraine, obviously I hope that Ukraine will receive sooner or later, I hope this will come sooner, receive Tomahawks and will be able to use them on objects on Russia. Then it will increase the Russian desire to stop this invasion, actually, and to accept the conditions of the ceasefire, which will be more viable comparing to those their requirements, which are really met and which they're insisting on.
Well, you know that the economic situation of Russia is getting from bad to even worse. Two things. First of all, Venezuela. under pressure from US, already offered Trump control of all its oil resources and gold resources or anything like this. I don't know what else Trump needs from Venezuela, but however, we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Control on drug resources.
Maybe that's they forgot to mention that comes as well.
Yeah.
Now, but another even more important situation happened just, I believe, yesterday, where the Middle East countries like Saudi Arabia, of course, and United Emirates and others, they announced that from December 1st, China, India, and all the Asian countries, they will get very substantial discount for buying their oil. So now it's a great replacement for dirty Russian oil. So they will have no more market for their stupid dirty oil, and so they can eat it from now on, because there will be no markets where they can supply it. So therefore, Putin's economic situation is not getting better; it's getting worse day by day by day. And I'm just thinking it will come to probably to a revolt against him from people who are in government, and they don't understand the goals, the continuation of this horrible war where Russians are losing around 1,000, sometimes 1,500 people a day for really for nothing. They claim a territory, but they have less territory today than in 2023. Today they control less territory, and it's not getting any better. And even if it does, what does it mean for Russians? They cannot make life satisfactory for most of its population. And now when you're talking about all this Ukrainian territories that they want to claim as their own, what's it going to do there? How about Donbass when there is no water? There is absolutely nothing. People live miserable lives after 10 years, more than 10 years of Russia controlling this territory. So now they will control even more territory, if it will ever happen. I don't think so. But even in that case, it's a misery for Russia and for all subjects who will be part of Russia, hopefully not. What do you think, Ivan?
Yeah, as we've discussed before on our previous programs, there is no, hopefully, there is no bright future for Russia, for Russian economy, and for those territories Russia is occupying, because they will not have enough resources to support them, to rebuild them. They're losing a lot of soldiers in order to grab those couple of square kilometers, and nobody's knowing what's for. But the problem is that stopping this war, stopping invasion, will also lead to bad consequences inside Russia, and possibly also can cause a revolt, because if they will stop this that invasion on the conditions which are not equal to the goals of their so-called special military operations, a lot of people inside of Russia began asking questions: what was that war for? Why we've lost so many soldiers? Why we've lost
million people? You lost million people. For what?
Yeah, million people for what? Where all our tanks? Where all our missiles? Where all our artillery? Where our strategic bombers, which were destroyed during the Ukrainian Spiderweb operation, and which Russia cannot build because they were old Soviet strategic bombers? And what that was for? We wanted to demilitarize Ukraine. Now Ukraine has a second most powerful army in the world after the United States. Actually, we wanted nationalize Ukraine, and now to make Ukraine more looking more towards Russia. But now Ukraine is prohibiting Russian language, Russian church, prohibiting Russian cultural product, because Ukraine understands the consequences. Where now there is a Russian language, a Russian church, a Russian culture, there tomorrow will be Russian soldiers, which will come in order to protect Russian language and Russian church and Russian culture, and some people with Russian passports actually from their own government. Not clear for what. And another goal of Russia in that so-called special military operation was preventing Ukraine from joining the European Union and NATO. And now it's not Ukraine who wants to be part of NATO. It's NATO who wants Ukraine to be part, not on the political level, not on the head of NATO or President Trump, or like I don't know who is a friend of President Trump, the president of Hungary, which recently came. Yeah, Orban, who is also against Ukraine being a part of NATO, but on the level of top management of military command of NATO, I think that everyone in NATO wants Ukraine to become part of NATO, because now Ukraine has unique battlefield experience, unique technologies, which were successfully proved in war with Russia, and which actually helped Ukraine to survive, being honest, during the first days of invasion, when there was not yet any military assistance from the Western countries.
I'm wondering how many European countries could fight Russia one-on-one for about 4 years. Who? No. Even close? No. Nobody. Okay, the last question what I'd like to cover today is a question that if you take Germany, who was defeated completely in unconditional surrender in 1945, and it took about 20 years, Nuremberg process, all the people were taken out to Auschwitz, Dachau, to see for themselves, because people believe that the Hitler, he wanted so many great things for Germany, he was so good. Well, it's just a miserable misfortune that Germans lost the war and so on. It took 20 years for German. Actually, it was basically a next generation, more likely, that they understood really what's happening during the Second World War. And it took another generation and more finally to bring in Germany only today, when Merz announced Germany is back, and he got applause. So it was now 80 years after the end of the war. So when Germany was fully, after paying all contributions and helping Israel and Jewish former prisoners and their families and so on. So many things had to happen until Germany finally was forbidden. How many years it will take for Russia to be forgiven for what they done in Ukraine? If you take 80 years, it's almost forever. Especially, it's unlikely that Russia will be defeated as Germany was in 1945. So they basically had to assume certain things. And Russia is not defeated, and probably will not, although maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see something different. But Ukrainian people, they will not forgive for the next 100 years, if not more, what Russians did in this war.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah, I think the end of this war will be more similar to the end of the First World War, when there were no enemy troops on German territory. Actually, the German cities they were unharmed, but the demographic and economic consequences of that war for Germany were so devastating that they were managed to sign the peace agreement on very unfavorable condition, and to pay reparations to other countries, to demilitarize actually, and sign other points of the Versailles peace treaty. The problem was that European countries were not consistent in making Germany follow these points of Versailles peace treaty, which led to the Second World War, when Adolf Hitler came into power in Germany, and they started to ignore the issues of the Versailles peace treaty, or they started to invent some some tracks how to avoid those points, like Russia is now doing to avoid economical sanctions in order to import critical components for their weapons. And civilized world, the countries who became winners in First World War, they were looking on this like via the crossed fingers, like we are not seeing what's happening. And I hope that European countries they've really learned lessons from the history, and in the situation when Russia will be managed to sign the peace treaty with Ukraine and to accept the consequences of that peace treaty, it will manage to follow them. Otherwise, we will have a full-scale, not Russian invasion to Ukraine, but full-scale Third World War on the same scenario like it was during the Second World War, when Russian population will be unhappy with the consequences of this war. They will consider that peace treaty as a treachery for Russia. There probably will be some kind of revolt inside Russia. Some ultra-right populists will come to power, and they will build more despotic and eager to revenge national policy in Russia, which will lead to that barbarian horde we've seen on the video today, how it looks like will invade, probably not in Ukraine, because Ukraine will be preparing for that, obviously, but they will invade into Poland, into Finland, into Baltic countries, or maybe if European countries will be strong enough to protect themselves, and Russia will understand that, then they will invade to Georgia or to Azerbaijan or to Kazakhstan, because that monster, it actually cannot exist without expanding.
Unfortunately, that's true, Ivan. I totally agree with you. Georgia is too small, but Kazakhstan looks like quite realistic because it's a large country. There is a Russian population that will be a pretext for Russians to defend their own people, as they did in Ukraine in 2014. I don't think that it's just from economic purposes what's happening now. If they will not have revenue for oil and gas reserves or so on, so they will have to start building bicycles. So that will be bicycle army after all. And on a bicycle, Kazakhstan is just too large country to take over by bicycles, and that's maybe tricycles. The tricycles are more stable, so they can even take a nap on tricycle and then moving forward. But we'll see how it will all develop. Ivan, thank you so much for today's program, and looking forward to see you Friday, same place, same time. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. Thank you. Bye bye.
All the best. Bye bye, everybody.